How are you doing? Good? You okay? Excellent. Very good. Glad to hear it. I'm going to try not to beat on the desk because it does that. I'm very emotional. You know, I'm very, I'm type A. I'm an Enneagram 7, for those of you playing at home, with a hook of something, something. I like the Enneagram, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great tool for those of you who are in the self-discovery journey, the wisdom traditioned journey, the deeper journey. Fear. I talk a lot about fear because it's such a consuming and frankly an overpowering, paralyzing emotion. One of the aspects that was kind of a burp, just so you know, I just had lunch. One of the ways I want to go today with fear is to talk about the opposition and how fear creates very often opposition. And that's one way to really understand it, be cognitive of it, conscious of it, aware of it, is through the opposition. The problem is sometimes the opposition kind of happens when we're in the middle of it and, fists are up, we're throwing punches, the volley of verbal discourse with somebody less than cordial. But most of the time, it's like hindsight, right? Like we're afraid of something, we're not acknowledging the fear, we go automatically into opposition, anger, some kind of resistance, even some oppression. And it's not till the hindsight of like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that, and then we really trace it back to fear. So what are you afraid of, number one? And don't forget, all of our emotions travel along our routine. I really want people to get that because, again, our emotions aren't just sitting, and I say this all the time, they're not just waiting behind a tree or in a dark alley waiting to jump us and dive into our throat and, I'm in you now. Emotions are something that we have a bit of control with, y'all. We do. We have a little bit of control of this. So I just don't want emotions to run amok. I just want us to simply be aware of them. Why, JR, do you want us to be aware of them? Why don't you shut up, JR? Because we're talking about higher levels of peace. We're definitely talking about more ingrained happiness inside of us. And we're also talking about relationally less problems, less drama. When we really start to understand that we have a bit of control over our emotions and that we really need to be aware of them. So fear and opposition. So remember what I say. Emotions run along our routines. So where are you afraid during your day? Where are you afraid? Are you afraid to commute in your car on a big highway? Are you afraid of that workmate down the cubicle row that's a pain in the ass? Are you afraid of your boss? Are you afraid of underperforming? Are you afraid of not being enough for your husband, your wife? Are you afraid that your kids aren't going to do what they need to do? Find that fear, and then I really want you to contemplate, think, take in, draw in the idea of what the fear is doing in opposition. And again, this requires a little self-honesty, a little look in the mirror, something that is not always very pleasant, but something that's absolutely necessary for part of this journey in order to get to the other side of it and really start to envelop peace and again, some happiness, and relationally just calm down, because that's what we're looking to do. And for the record, again, and I always say this as a spiritual director, for me, the connectivity here, contemplatively, is to do this with the divine, is to do this with God, is to anchor yourself in some kind of prayer, meditation, silence, spiritual practice, where you are reflecting yourself to God, God to you, right? And there's a reconciliation then that happens with who you are with God and his love, her love. I say his and her love because guess what, y'all? We're talking about both when we talk about God. I know there's you people out there that want to argue with me, but I don't care. So do your best. Fear, where's the opposition? Fear, what am I afraid of? And then where's that opposition? Don't forget, the opposition is going to help point back to fear. In case you're a lot like all of you're like all of us. Which is you have a hard time sometimes just simply identifying the fear because a lot of times it just looks like a opposition or anger because it can just pop out of us real quick. So Opposition will point back to it once you understand what the fear is, that I really want to ingest some kind of source and why, and then I really want you to be cognitive and aware in the moment the best you can. This is where God and prayer and meditation and contemplation come in, because we're looking to circle you back into the moment. I love you. See that? And I'll talk to you tomorrow.